This was the statement that Democratic Congressman Henry Johnson of South Carolina made, and it's causing a lot of consternation out there as well. Listen to this.
It instigated more racist sentiment, feeling that it's okay. You don't have to bury it now. You can bring it out, talk about it fully, and so. I guess we'll probably have folks putting on white hoods and white uniforms again and riding through the countryside intimidating people.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful statement he's making.
I think it's an ignorant statement. I think it's an ignorant statement. I'm sorry. That is just so it is so beyond my comprehension that you jump from a member of Congress who blurted out in an emotional response to something the president said to all of a sudden people are going to be running through the neighborhoods wearing white sheets and hoods. I'm sorry. It just, to me, is beyond anyone's comprehension that you can make that leap. But that, again, makes my point. And so, you know, I'm where the president is on this. Now, the president of the United States said on many occasions that matters of race, whether we are having a discussion or we're trying to solve a problem, is a teachable moment. I think that teachable moment, that classroom right now should have Carter and Clyburn and others in it. So they understand what the president and I understand, and that is there's a very fine distinction between what we heard in that hall last week and what we're hearing right now. And this, to me, is the problem.
Congressman Johnson, I should correct us, from Georgia, not from South Carolina. But you have to admit, if you take a look at some of those rallies, there were some really racist pictures out there. We'll put a few of them up on the screen. Video showing or pictures of the President of the United States as an African witch doctor, if you will. There it is. Right there. There were these kinds of racist images that were projected at some of those rallies.
You know, and look, and that's inappropriate and misplaced. That's how that person may have interpreted. But that for every one of those, Wolf, there were 70, 80, 100, 1,000 other signs that weren't that. And so this is the distinction I think we need to understand. Don't hold up one person as an example of behavior by everyone, because that's not what we're talking about here. And I think we need to be very careful and sensitive. If we want to stay serious about solving some of the issues on race, then we just can't go around every corner claiming it exists there and it exists there when it doesn't. And that's where I have a real problem with a lot of these folks who are coming out here now trying to play this card from beneath the deck in such a way to stifle debate, to have us focus on something other than the president's policies. Instead, now we're having this discussion about race. And finally, on this point, I'd like to have the president give his own view on this. Does he believe in what Clyburn and Maureen Dowd have said?
The White House press secretary today, Robert Gibbs, agreed with you. He doesn't believe that racism is part of this angry debate that is out there. So he seems, at least on this narrow point, to agree with Michael Steele. You have your hands cut out for you. You're the chairman of the Republican Party, and you have a largely white party. I want to put a picture up on the screen, Mr. Chairman, of the floor of the joint session of Congress. The Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats are on the right side. The Republicans are on the left side over there. And if you take a look, the left side is mostly white men. There are no African-American Republicans in the House or the Senate. If you look at the Democratic side, there's a lot of people of color. There's African-Americans, Latinos, men, and women. What are you going to do to try to diversify the Republican Party?
I'll accept the indictment. I'll accept it, you know, and I know we've got to change. And our party has, for over a generation, employed a strategy that right now many of us wish we never had. We have a strong and I think a special relationship with the minority community, especially African Americans in this country. And part of my responsibility and opportunity is to engage in a new way those voters out there on ideas that matter to them, on policies that matter to them, where we're talking about health care, we're talking about employment. You know, I'm looking at cities around the country where black folk live. Now, you showed me the Congress with all these wonderful black Democrats and white Democrats, but I go to black neighborhoods that are run by those same Democrats. And you tell me where racism really exists. Is it in the words of a congressman who says you lie? Or is it how we strip education funding through opportunity scholarships? Or is it how we cut money for our HBCUs around the country? Or is it the fact that so many African Americans still live in neighborhoods that are burnt out and run down, and those same Democrats that are in that hall and that are running those cities aren't investing capital, time, interest in that community instead of just giving the typical 40-year lip service out of the great society that trust us, we're better, and if you don't, the Republicans are going to come in a white hood. I'm sick of that. Right now, let's talk about how we move people beyond poverty and into opportunity. That's a debate, and when we get into that one, instead of talking about this stuff, when we get into that one, you'll start to see some heads turn in this country, and the Republican Party will stand there and have something to say in every community, not just black, white, or otherwise.
Good luck, Mr. Chairman. You got your hands
It's work,
full
but I got to do it, man.
All right, we'll talk. We'll continue this conversation.